Guy talks.
Girl rolls her eyes. That's what the cool kids do. They clean things up in post.
That's what I heard. I heard there's a lot of cleanup that happens in post.
You've never heard that before. No one has ever said that to you.
Betsy, people say that.
People also say that sitting is the new smoking. Yet you cannot seem to tell me who people are.
Sitting is the new smoking. People say that.
Who? Who says that?
People.
People is not a person. People is an excuse for you not knowing who a person is.
All right, I don't have good citations for this, but I have heard that sitting is the new smoking. And I think there's some justification there. I mean, otherwise, why are people buying all these standing desks and spending all this money on desks so they can stand up all day? I mean, I don't want one. I'm lazy. But that probably means I'm going to die before those people.
You
right?
for sure are going to die before those people.
Yeah, that seems like something I should just accept.
It's because you eat juice pulp.
Well, listen. Okay, let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
Carolyn and I have a fancy juicer, and we got it as a wedding present. And it's wonderful. It makes delicious juice.
Let's clarify that you would have went out and purchased one had you not received one for a wedding gift.
Oh, almost certainly. My wife likes things like that, so I'm sure that was on its way.
Right.
But the one that we got as a wedding present was much fancier than what I would have ever purchased.
Because you're cheap.
Correct.
Right.
So now we have the juicer. We used it like crazy people for a while when we first got it, like you do with a new kitchen appliance, right? You get all excited about it and use it all the time.
Really? You got a new mandolin and suddenly you're just
shredding I shredded everything until including my finger.
Including your finger.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so this is another tangent, but I think we can all agree that every time you're watching a food competition show of any kind,
you get hungry.
And the mandolin comes out. As soon as you see the mandolin, you know in the next 5 minutes of that show, someone is going to yell, "Medic!" Like that's happening. So it's not. So what I'm saying is, it's not totally my fault.
I think that's a generalization. I think when you're saying that, what you mean is a man is going to yell "medic" because the women on the cooking show have a little more perception of how sharp that is.
I would like to get upset about that.
However,
but as I review the examples in my mind from cooking shows I've seen,
I'm not wrong.
I suspect, you might. Okay. Anyway, what we were talking about is the excitement of a new kitchen appliance. So we're reducing everything in sight.
I know. I'm also just going to interject and say it says a lot about you when you use the phrase excitement over a new kitchen appliance.
Okay, but you can judge me for that, but let's just be honest. I think there's a lot of people out there that would empathize.
Yes, and I am judging you for that.
I mean, you're telling me the first time you brought home an immersion blender, you didn't just like stick it in every pot as you were like, oh, I'm making spaghetti, but let's see what the immersion blender does.
I'm telling you that. That's what I'm telling you. I'm also telling you I don't own an immersion blender.
And no one should, but they look cool.
They do look cool. I'm actually picturing them in my head right now and thinking, maybe I should head to Macy's and see what they have.
They're not even expensive anymore because
I'll just go to Target. Why would I go to Macy's?
Yeah, nobody buys them, so they're not expensive.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we're juicing. This is all back to me defending this juice pulp comment as a side note. If you're tracking the tangents out there in podcast land.
It's a tough job.
So we're juicing. And the juicing is really good for you, hypothetically, right? Because you're consuming all these fruits and vegetables. But I couldn't help but look at this pile of pulp that's left over in the little pulp bin and think to myself, that's all good, nutritious junk, right? So you eat a carrot, and it's not just like carrot juice that you're trying to get. There's fiber and stuff.
Stuff and junk. Interesting words to choose to use.
Well,
while talking about nutritious.
I wasn't an English major. So what I did, and I think many people probably have done. What I think several people probably have done is I looked at that pulp and I said to myself, Self, what could we do with this? Now, I don't compost.
So myself would have said, let's throw it in the composter. Let's give the worms a little something to, dig around it.
As would my sister and brother-in-law. They have worms under their sink. They're big fans of the worms.
I do not, let's clarify, have
little
any
red
worms
crawlers
under my sink.
No?
No.
Where are your worms?
I don't have any worms. I don't actually have a compost, but that is what I would think in my head if I lived in a house with a backyard.
Now we come to the truth of it.
Look, I tried composting once.
Yeah.
It worked. It just didn't stick.
Physics took place. And chemistry.
I do acknowledge and believe in the process.
Okay. I believe that the process exists. I just don't do it because I don't need worms under my sink. So then I said to myself, what if we're not going to give this stuff and junk
to the earth
through the medium of worms?
Worm poop, right?
What are we going to do with it? And frankly, the cheap person in me said...
Which is most of you.
That's a healthy portion of me. Said, look at all... That's like 75% of that carrot that I purchased with money that is not going inside my body.
That's like 13 cents worth.
Well, we buy organic carrots. So
14 and a half cents.
It might be easily upwards of 20 cents. Now...
Wow.
Here's why, in my defense, why I believe why I know I'm not the only person asking these questions. Because I asked Google.
Your best friend, Google.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Google immediately had a variety of answers for me on websites that have recipes for how to use juice pulp.
Did you check the median age of the people who submitted those websites? And by extension, the recipes? Because if I were to wager a guess... I guess you were on the young end.
Okay, well, that data wasn't accessible.
Or looked for, I'm sure.
Also, I did not put any effort into that.
Right.
However, what I did find was that there are a variety of things you can do with juice pulp. So this is the public education segment of the podcast. You can incorporate juice pulp into pasta sauce, particularly if you've been making vegetable-heavy juices, to thicken the pasta sauce and add some nutritional oomph.
And lumps. You're going to add a lot of lumps.
No. Not if you have a high-quality juicer. There's no lumps in my... Betsy, there's no lumps in my pulp. I'm going to put that on a T-shirt.
Add it to the list.
I've got a long list. There are no lumps in my pulp.
Please stop saying that.
I'm never going to stop saying that. So pasta sauce.
Insert eye roll there, by the way, every time you just said that.
Well, you're going to get sore eyes because there's no lumps in my pulp. So the juice pulp recipe that really jumped out at me, though, was pulp bread.
Like zucchini bread.
Very much like zucchini bread, which I love.
Right. Well, everybody loves it. Even people that hate zucchini love zucchini bread.
Which, isn't that weird?
It's because it's all sugar. It's like white sugar and brown sugar.
Yeah.
Who hates brown sugar and white sugar?
It's not weird at all.
No.
So
delicious.
I was housing this pulp bread all the time. And it was so good. And I kept telling people how healthy I was being because
you didn't look at the other
consuming all this
in
juice
the bread.
Pulp. Right. We just didn't talk about that. We didn't talk about the fact that there were 2 cups of brown sugar.
It's like the blacklisted
topic. A cup of honey and all this stuff. Yeah. I did, though, use fancy flour because my wife likes fancy flour.
Wow.
So it was like the little tiny bags of flour that are like $18 because it's like spelt or some grain you've never heard of. That was milled with ancient practices.
But didn't you feel fancier after you ate it?
Oh my gosh, I felt so fancy, Betsy.
That's what I like most about the spelt flours.
I felt like my pulp had no lumps. That's how fancy I felt.
Oh, I'm going to start keeping track of how many times you make that joke. It's terrible.
Oh, it's no joke. There's no lumps.
If you say that one more time, I'm calling your wife. And I'm not even a little afraid. She's on speed dial.
Okay, let's talk about this for a moment. So, at some point, my wife developed allies within my friend network. And this is why I know that if my wife and I were each the leaders of nations in conflict with each other.
I would for sure be on her side.
Well, obviously. But where I'm going with this is... If it ever ended up that we were in like Hitler v. Churchill kind of relationship, right? Where my wife was obviously the autocratic dictator of one nation, and I was the inspiring democratic leader of another nation.
Clearly, that's how it would be. Yeah, well represented in that one.
Well, this is just a hypothetical.
She's listening, right? And you have to go home at some point.
She doesn't even look at my LinkedIn. She's not going to listen to this.
No, but she looks at mine. So.
See, this is what I'm saying. So here's my concern. Should this hypothetical scenario ever arise, she's both smarter than me and better liked. And so...
Even better looking.
Much better looking.
Yeah. Which doesn't really do anything for me, but for most people in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt.
No, of course not. I love pretty friends.
Yeah. I feel like she would very quickly develop a deep and robust spy network within my administration. That's one of my concerns.
I don't think there would be anyone in your administration because she would call us and be like, hey, you have to pick sides. You on my side or Matt's side? I use spelt flour. And she'd win. That
is a big draw.
It's a huge, huge draw. Fancy flour makes the difference. See, that's all I'm saying.
It doesn't,
Spend the extra $17.94.
It's a pittance, really, when you think about the loyalty that it inspires.
It really is. Yeah. So what I'm saying is she's not going to have to make that decision because I'm going to be on her team to eat spelt flour.
Yeah, okay. See, I think it's...
Scones with spelt flour are just...
Scones?
I think that she'd probably make me scones, too.
I bet she would make scones. She's a good baker. And she likes to experiment.
Yeah.
Spelt flour scones. I'm not... Okay, let's talk about scones for a second, as long as we're on the topic of scones.
I actually think we might fall on the same side of this. Why do people...
Oh, we should have a bell for that. We should ring a bell for those rare moments.
Yeah, we don't have anything here. Why do people like them so much?
Right?
They're dry.
Chalky.
Crumbly.
Not easy to eat.
No. And you can't eat it gracefully.
No.
You can't cut it.
No.
And put a small bite in your mouth. It's like World War III is just all over the table at Collectivo and people are staring at me and then I get really anxious because I'm trying to keep it clean so then I brush the crumbs on the floor.
But, that's nice.
But then I think...
Baristas know your name.
They know
and you're brushing crumbs on the floor.
I'm brushing crumbs on the floor. They're going to sweep it. They're going to hate me. I better tip them twice tomorrow. That's what I think in my head.
Well, so maybe that's the strategy.
It's totally illogical.
So I think you've identified the purpose of the scone. It's to increase tip. Yeah,
good.
It's a tip booster for baristas. They use the guilt of the crumbly scone crumbs on the floor to guilt type A personalities into double tipping.
I just don't even get it anymore. I only get whole wheat bagels now.
Oh, yeah.
I can't.
That's much simpler. Although it's a real workout for your jaw.
It is a real workout for your jaw.
Here's the thing about scones, and there is a certain category of foods I think that scones fall within, and that is the category of foods that only become tolerable when you cram them full of other things that are good.
Or dip them in something.
There you go. Similar world, I think there. So like scones can be good-ish, but only when they're like jam-packed full of, let's say, blueberries.
Or cranberries.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of
tart.
stuff in a scone for it to be okay.
Or you have to dip it in coffee.
Oh, but see, I feel like it just disappears in coffee. Right? Wouldn't that be part of the issue? What would be another food in that category? Oh, you brought up quiche earlier, and I actually really like quiche.
You know my feelings on quiche.
I do, but the world doesn't.
No, the world doesn't. It falls in the omelet with a crust category.
Which sounds wonderful.
I just can't get behind it. And I love eggs. I love hard-boiled eggs. I love over easy eggs. I love sunny side up eggs. I could be the Forrest Gump lister of egg products.
Clearly you couldn't because you would hit quiche and stumble.
What I'm saying is I could do it until I hit quiche.
But what about the omelet?
I will eat an omelet. I will eat a good Denver omelet. Throw it full of some delicious veggies, and I will eat it. But the quiche is like this weird hybrid of like I want to be a pie. I want to be an omelet.
So it's sending your brain mixed signals. Your brain is saying dessert.
My brain is saying dessert, and my heart is saying
breakfast.
I wish you were cherry pie.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're just not. You're not cherry pie. You're never going to be cherry pie.
Can we talk about how wonderful it is that we live in a country where breakfast is dessert? Where
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, well let me.
You're getting all professorial on me. You've lost me.
And patriotic. Let's.
Well, I do love America.
Let's explore it a little bit. So think about the typical items that we would consider to be breakfast that a lot of the rest of the world would consider to be dessert. So, for example,
coffee cake.
Coffee cake, right?
Oh yeah, that's delicious.
The cinnamon roll.
Oh.
Right?
The pecan roll.
With caramel, right?
Oh, my gosh, I'm so hungry now.
Pancakes drenched with strawberries and whipped cream.
Yes.
Or the Belgian waffle coated in whatever you please, right? Literally, I think it was at IHOP, but
Let's talk about why you were at an IHOP.
Was our...
Was it International Pancake Day?
No, but...
Then why were you at an IHOP?
Well, I was young and impressionable.
Okay, okay. Well, that's fair. It's your parents' fault.
It was long ago.
I'll talk to them.
But there was a pancake item on the menu that came with... It essentially had an ice cream sundae atop the pancakes. And it was not listed as a dessert. It was just listed among the other pancake choices.
Clearly the one you went for.
Yeah. Because ice cream is delicious and I love America.
Do you know, maybe you already know this about me, but I was actually the weird kid when I was younger.
Oh, wait, let me put my shocked face on.
And I would not eat anything sweet for breakfast. Literally, my brother and sister would eat delicious sugar-filled cereals when my parents would allow it, which was not very often. And I would be the weird kid asking for, like, cornflakes and Raisin Bran.
Oh, God.
Plain Cheerios.
That's disturbing.
I wouldn't eat pancakes or waffles or any of those things.
Wow. See, I was
a normal kid, I bet.
Right. Yeah. Well, as normal.
And then
breakfast normal.
Right. And then when you got older, it's where it veered off. It's weird. It's like we crossed paths because then I became a normal kid and you became like a weird shut-in in your basement.
Wow. I'm rarely in my basement
anymore.
I will. That's another podcast topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. See. I was one of the kids, and I think many people out there, like you said, the normals of us out there, for whom the best part of breakfast was the remnant milk at the bottom of your cereal bowl that had just absorbed all of the sugar that you dumped on top of the already sugared cereal. So like the best of this, like the dream, is when you have finished a very large bowl of Lucky Charms, which you also sprinkled sugar on over the top, because why not? Your mom's not looking.
Right.
And all the milk has turned like a bright neon pink, and it's sort of thick and syrupy because it's absorbed all of that sugar. Or because the milk is cold, the sugar doesn't totally dissolve, so it's just like this silty layer at the bottom of sugar. That's breakfast.
So as a kid, I would have totally disagreed with you. As an adult, I literally eat that for dinner 3 times a week.
Yeah, you are sprinting towards diabetes.
I for sure am. Yeah, it runs in the family, so I've really got zero excuse at this point. No, literally, if you were to watch me grocery shop, I shop all along the perimeter because I follow the guidelines, and then I go right down the cereal aisle. And I do not leave without some Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh yeah,
Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops.
Love the Fruit Loops.
Oh, I was never a fan of the Fruit Loops.
Don't love the Apple Jacks nearly as much as the Fruit Loops, but give me a good sale and I can be convinced.
Apple Jacks are questionable. Do you remember...
Fruity Pebbles?
Oh, see, we're not on the same page about a lot of this. Shocker.
This is clearly what I eat now.
Okay, so number one, really I think with no competition, without question, are Lucky Charms. We've already established that.
No, I don't want marshmallows in my cereal. Even now, to this day.
Those are special magic marshmallows. They're not just any marshmallow. They're not soft and squishy. They have like this very special crispness to them that...
Insert eye roll here. They're marshmallows. Marshmallows are marshmallows.
No.
They're marshmallows.
No. I think people out there will write in in response to this specific. I want to hear from you, America, and our global audience. I want to hear...
That's our friend Ben in Canada.
Yeah, I want to hear from some people out there clarifying for my friend Betsy that Lucky Charms marshmallows are not typical marshmallows.
They're the same marshmallows that are in hot chocolate mix.
Right, but you throw those into hot chocolate and then they kind of puff up and expand and get soft. In the Lucky Charms, they retain that crispness, so they're sort of like a specialized marshmallow candy.
So basically, they're chemicals. Now,
without question.
I realize I don't have a leg to stand on here based on the cereal choice that I'm making.
No.
But it's gross to me. It's literally gross to me.
Okay, let's see if we can find some common ground here.
Okay, all right.
What were the honey smacks or sugar smacks or something like that? Do you remember these?
No.
They were like puffed rice, and they were coated in like a glaze of honey sort of sugar. I think they were called sugar smacks. There was a frog involved, and he would jump around.
I know what you're talking about. It's a red box. Yeah, they still sell those. No, I don't eat that.
So good.
But what I did used to love, and I still do love, are the O's. Do you know those? They're like...
Cheerios?
No, I do. I do love me some Cheerios. That's not a secret.
Yeah.
No, they're O's. I believe they're called O's, and they're sort of a larger O. And then there's like
what
goodness,
kind of gangster cereal?
Goodness stuffed in there. You would like
was
it.
Was this like a bottom shelf in the large bags kind
of
cereal?
No, it's like top shelf. Only snooty adults eat it. But
Fancy
somehow,
O's?
Yeah, somehow I found it.
I don't know anything.
I mean, I'm not even
that.
Tall enough to see the top shelf. You know I have to ask for help to get it down.
Let me tell you that I will look for that.
You should.
Investigate it. And let me also tell you that one of my favorite adult cereals now that probably has just as much sugar as all the kids' cereals that I used to eat, that's wonderful, is Honey Bunches of Oats.
I love Honey Bunches of Oats.
Ring the bell.
Ding,
ring
ding.
the bell.
I love it.
That's 2 in 1 show.
It's also the
this
great
must be getting to be a
commercials.
long show.
The advertising. The advertising for Honey Bunches of Oats just warms my heart.
It's wonderful. The little lady in the hairnet, and she's like, come on down. It smells like cookies. Let's hug.
Okay.
I would eat any cereal she produced.
If you smell like cookies, I will hug you.
Thank you. I will endeavor to smell more like cookies.
Okay. Well, it has to be a special kind of cookie that I really like.
Okay.
You can't just smell like Oreos.
Oh, that wouldn't be a good smell at all.
I don't know how you would smell like Oreos.
Oh, it could happen.
How could it happen?
Okay, well, let's pose a hypothetical scenario. Let's say one comes home after a long day of work and one's 2-year-old is not at home. So one is allowed to do whatever one wishes. And my wife's gone.
Well, I would hope so. If your son is gone, your wife should probably also be gone, because otherwise Gabe's out wandering the neighborhood by himself. Which, you don't have sidewalks in your neighborhood. I'm not sure how you chose that neighborhood based on the fact that there's no sidewalks, but he'd be wandering the streets alone.
Yeah. So in this hypothetical world...
The mean streets of Elm Grove, Wisconsin.
Right. So in this hypothetical world where my 2-year-old is wandering the streets, I've just come home from a long day at work and I'm tired, but also hungry. And so this is the scenario I could see. Okay, so here's the picture we're painting. I'm sitting on my couch. I've had enough drinks that I'm not going to move from that spot on the couch. And now it's time to eat. And so I open the fresh box of Oreos that has been untouched by my wife.
How does your Oreos come in a box?
What is it, like a crate? Or I mean, it's wrapped in plastic, but the inner shell of...
I know, but you're making this
like
sound so much more classy than it really is in real life.
Just a plastic...
It's got the reusable,
Well, that was a fancy innovation, wasn't it?
It really
Remember
was.
when you had to open Oreos from the end and slide the tray out?
And then you would push the tray back in, and you're like, what do I do?
It was like the Middle Ages.
Do I clothespin it? What do I do?
Yeah, I would just leave it open.
How do I keep the air out?
The advantage, of course, of that old system was that it gave you an excuse to eat as many Oreos as you wanted, because otherwise they were going to get stale.
It's actually the Girl Scout philosophy as well.
Smart.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Yeah. It's sort of the scone mentality of sales.
It is. So
there I am on the couch in this hypothetical world, and And I open the Oreos, and as I think this is another place where I think a lot of people will be able to empathize. You can't eat just one row of Oreos.
I think that's actually the Lay's potato chip commercial. You can't just eat one.
No,
I don't think Oreo says that.
No, they don't say it, but they know. They know that after you eat the 14 Oreos in a row, that you can't, because now the tray is imbalanced. It doesn't sit right in your hand, right?
It's 14 Oreos?
Well, that's a row, right? Isn't it 14 in a row? There's 4 rows.
I am not kidding you. I have no idea. I have never done this before.
I'm just saying you get to the end of that row, and then either you I'm surprised that you haven't done this because you're very type A, that you have to then rebalance the rows so that the tray isn't imbalanced. And the only way to do that is to move Oreos from one row to the other, and that's a lot of hassle. So instead what you can do is just continue to eat Oreos. Now, assuming...
Is this like a trade secret?
Yeah. Now, assuming that you have had a few drinks and you're just in this mind-numbing zone where your Netflix is just repeating again and again whatever the next episode of anything is, and you don't notice that you've eaten 20-plus Oreos, there's probably a lot of Oreo debris now on your chest. Now, we're also assuming here that I'm not wearing a shirt, which...
This is becoming more and more disturbing by the second.
Listen, you asked
Also, I'm never coming over to your house ever again.
It's a really good plan. At least call
I'm
going to
be looking for Oreo debris everywhere.
We don't allow Oreos in the house. I'm just describing a hypothetical situation for you.
I think I know why we don't allow Oreos in the house after this.
You wanted to know how one might come to smell like Oreos, and I think this is the dark path that one would go down.
I think that there's probably lots of other ways one could smell like Oreos, but this is entertaining.
Do you think they make Oreo cologne?
I think they're probably...
Candles for sure.
Chapstick.
Oh, totally chapstick.
You know how they make like Dr. Pepper chapstick?
Oh.
Which literally...
I just threw up a little in my mouth.
Yeah, me too.
That's awful.
Not in your mouth, in my own mouth.
Yeah, thank you for not throwing up in my mouth.
Totally welcome. Yeah, those are the kind of products that I honestly don't understand.
Yeah.
Who woke up one day and was like, I want my lips to smell like Dr. Pepper?
And so now we're going to hear from Dr. Pepper fans, undoubtedly, because a lot of people like Dr. Pepper, and I get that.
I don't get why you like Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I mean, I don't like it.
No, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to...
the Dr. Pepper lovers out there.
Correct.
The pepperheads.
I don't think that's what they call themselves.
People say that. That's what people say.
Good. Let's talk about the people again. Yes. Your friends, the people.
The other problem I have with these chapsticks and other things is when they take natural things and try to recreate the natural smell artificially.
Like watermelon.
Yes.
Terrible.
Banana.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh. So disgusting.
Gross.
Cherry, I really like, but it doesn't smell anything like real cherries. Nothing. But somebody decided one day that
What does a cherry smell like? Do you even know, really? Because if I buy a bag of cherries at the store, which I often do because I like cherries, they don't smell like anything.
Yeah, but once you mash them up a bit.
Yeah, I guess when there's a cherry pie baking, you can smell it.
Right? And it smells, there's a smell there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't smell anything like cherry lip balm.
No. I don't know really. I've never used that, but
yeah. So here's
gross.
Clearly I
have used it.
No. But I've encountered it.
Sort of you used it.
In my travels.
In your travels?
Here's part of the problem I have with these artificial scents, is that they were okay for a while, and then someone decided to start incorporating them into urinal cakes and bathroom air fresheners. And so now every time I smell like someone's scented lip balm or what have you, all I can think of is you've been swimming in urinal cakes, or you've just come from a very heavily scented restroom.
Wait, they really scent them?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that you would not be regularly exposed to urinal cakes.
I'm not going to be honest with you.
Good. Good. Don't please make up a fanciful lie about this.
I am going to be honest with you.
Okay.
I cannot remember the last time I was anywhere near a urinal. They don't actually put them in women's bathrooms. I don't know if you know this. We get couches instead.
You get couches in your
Often, yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well.
Sometimes you just need to take a load off and have a, break.
Phrasing. I'd like to say that I'm jealous of the couches in the bathroom, but I don't think that I am.
No,
I want to spend as little time in there as possible.
Yes, that's the correct answer. Nobody sits on the couch.
Oh, so it's just for aesthetics?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, girls are different than boys.
Cozier.
Yeah. So urinal cakes often urinal cakes are going away, by the way.
Where are they going?
You didn't even. They weren't really even a part of your world a moment ago, but now I'm telling you they're going away.
And now I'm suddenly sad.
Right, you're nostalgic.
And I want to know why are they leaving?
Nostalgic for the days of urinal cakes. So the urinal cake, you're familiar with the idea, yes?
Yes, of course I'm familiar with the
idea.
idea.
Just a lump of chemicals.
Understand the purpose.
Cherry scented that you urinate atop, and the physics of that act release the urine/cherry scent,
cherry fragrance
that everyone enjoys so much. So science has recently created a pretty remarkable breakthrough or two that are being incorporated into urinal technology that I think you'll be excited to hear about. One is these urinal pads. They're like a not a mesh, but they look like artificial grass, very short artificial grass. Lots of little spikes on this mat.
So they look like a green on a golf course.
Yes, very much like AstroTurf, sort of.
Are you impressed by that reference?
That was really good.
Yeah.
You're so sporty.
I'm so sporty.
So these little spikes prevent splashing, which...
Oh, it's also a splash guard.
It's a splash guard. It absorbs rather than deflects, and splashing is an issue. It's an issue that guys deal with, particularly professional guys. Like you're wearing nice shoes. Things splash, you get spots on your shoes.
Again, not an issue.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
It's not a thing that girls have to worry about.
So this technology is very exciting for a certain subset of American men. And when you have the mats, you can't also have the urinal cakes, which is pretty great.
You can't put the mat over the urinal cake?
Well, no, because it defeats the purpose, right? Because if the liquid in question is striking the urinal cake, now you got splashing.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So you need a layer beneath, but that's not. I don't know if they've got that figured out yet.
Okay.
But the splash guard is a nice advancement, and then the other is, and this is not new. This other one is the electric eye, the auto flush, right? So as you walk away, it flushes. Part of the reasons you needed urinal cakes is that guys are gross, and they just don't bother, right? So they would do their nasty business, and they would just walk away and not press the little plunger to flush. And so you'd walk in, and the whole place reeks like urine. But now, thanks to modern science...
I'm not sure that's modern science.
Well, no,
mostly
it's not
because
modern at all.
Toilets have had the automatic flush.
But the splash guards
years.
are exciting to a certain subset of American men.
Am unsure what to do with all the excitement I have over the splash guards. If only they could make the splash guards scented. That's my big concern.
I'm sure it's coming. I just wish they wouldn't. I prefer to just acknowledge that the bathroom's going to smell like the bathroom, so we don't need couches in there. Let's get in, get out, let the electric eye do its business, make sure our shoes are okay, wash our hands and go.
It's my motto for every day in the office. Get in, get out, don't worry about the couch, make sure your shoes are okay.
And wash your hands.
And wash your hands.
Words to live by. Those are good tips for all professionals, I think.
They're good tips for all professionals, and just good tips to live by.
I feel like this is a good place to draw it to a close.
That's what I was doing with that last comment.
I like it. Good pilot episode, Betsy.
Thank you.
So this has been Guy Talks.
Girl rolls her eyes.